what do I do? Let's see, hard question. Hi, I'm Matthew Hutchinson. I'm a pianist and a keyboardist based out of Nantucket, Massachusetts, and I've been playing piano from a very young age. About 6 years old I started. Since I was a teenager, I've been playing professionally. I started playing in bands in high school, and then I became quite interested in jazz music and went to school to study music in college, and have been performing jazz and other styles of music ever since. I do a lot of private events here on Nantucket and sometimes play in some of the restaurants and also play in a few different groups. There was a piano in the house and that had belonged to my mother when she was a child, and like a lot of children, I was given piano lessons as just part of the wide variety of experiences, and I took to it, but not necessarily any more than anything else. It was one of the things that I did along with other things kids do. I stuck with it up until about when I was a teenager, early teenager, and then I sort of put my foot down and said, nah, I don't want to do it anymore. But then, fortunately, in high school, I really started to discover other kinds of music that I really liked, and started playing along to records and figuring out how certain songs go that I was enjoying, and that sort of brought me back into the music. And then I started playing with friends in a band and realizing that music and playing music wasn't just about sitting alone in the practice room and playing boring scales and things like that, that you could actually have fun. I mean, there was a certain turning point, I can't remember when it was, when I started to idolize musicians more than athletes or anybody else that a kid might idolize, and I realized that my heroes were these sort of creative artists and these rock stars. Playing in front of an audience can be terrifying because it brings up a lot of issues about your own expectations of yourself and concerns about other people's expectations of you. But there's a whole psychological component to being a performer that I think people learn to and deal with and struggle with, whether you're an actor or a musician or anybody, or a public speaker or something like that. Personally, I prefer to be a part of a group because then I feel like I'm on a team. I'll sort of hold each other together and you can feed off of each other's energy. I've been working with the Artist Association for a couple of years now, and they wanted a live band for the whole night, and they asked me to provide that. So that's when I went to Boston and hooked up with Jordan Valentine and the Sunday Saints, which is a fantastic group that specializes in retro soul music and blues. We were able to put together a program that spanned a couple different decades of music to try to give people some different flavors and some music just to wine and dine by, but then also music to dance to and party to. Jordan's a really powerful, bluesy sort of soul singer, and a lot of the horn players in the band are really first rate. So we had a nice time playing. There's a fellow, George Young, who is really a very world-class saxophonist. He was even on the Ed Sullivan Show playing his saxophone as a young guy. Like, I think he was about 20 years old when he was on TV. He was a virtuoso at a young age, and he's gone on to play on countless records and soundtracks, and did the whole New York jazz musician thing for a number of years. He lives in California now. He played in the Saturday Night Live band for years, so It's a real treat to play with someone that experienced because he's full of stories and wisdom. When I knew he was coming back to Nantucket this summer again for a few weeks, it just happened to coincide with the Artist Association benefit, and I thought, oh, I need to get George to come and play at least for an hour or two to give people another little sound, because he is a very special lyrical player, and we have a good time playing duets. It was one of my favorite gigs. I mean, I don't usually work with such a big group, so that is a big adrenaline rush to have so many musicians on stage that are all looking to me for guidance and to lead the situation. It used to be that I would just, if I got through it, that would be successful. When I started off here almost 20 years ago, I was just a kid playing anonymously in the corner of some of these restaurants and, you know, trying to avoid eye contact with all the patrons because I felt in over my head. Occasionally, I end up in these nice situations where I'm able to bring what I do to a pretty rarefied, nice environment. That's been a nice thing to graduate to after many years of playing in loud, smoky bars and restaurants and things where you feel like maybe the only person that's paying attention is the maitre d' or something who's sitting over your shoulder, or you're just playing to the walls or the plants or something. But I've learned to enjoy the sort of intimate settings that sometimes you can get in an island like this. I realized at a certain point that music was something that I needed to have in my life to feel like I was living an engaged life. And I think that even if I wasn't a performer or wasn't even a piano player, I'd still be a huge music fan and probably go see tons of shows and be reading about music or trying to learn about it.
That was marvelous.
You want to keep going. Send me that.